Wayward Son, a Desert Eagle's short story. The solemn warrior made his way down the hall, each step measured, callous footsteps marking his passage against marble older than his chapter. He was Martellus Riol, Lord of the Desert Eagles, a figure carved by the winds of time and by an empire in flames. His brown ceramite plate bore the scars of centuries of battle, adorned with bone trinkets, declaring his presence within the hall of his ancestors. From upon crimson pauldrons hung the tattered remnants of a cloak, once detailed with the glories of the Desert Eagles in their conquests. Riol had known uncounted victories across the stars, but before him yet stood judgment. Robut Guilliman, his primarch, alive, terrible in presence, as if the moment was too bright for the light around him to hold. Guilliman stood impossibly still at the end of the hall, beneath rows of banners adorned with the mark of his legion. Blue and gold, conquest upon conquest, rendered in thread, each bearing sigil to a promise from a different age. They bore into Riol as he advanced, silent witnesses to a past that had never clawed survival from ruin. The burden of his armor suddenly felt like a tomb, beneath the weight of his father's legacy. Riol made his way down the hall and waited, eyes steeled like cracked obsidian. He dare not kneel. The tension hung heavily between the avenging son and his war-scarred heir. Guilliman gestured to the honor guard standing sigil beside him. "Leave us," he thundered. The chamber cleared. The silence stretched long after the ceremonial doors were closed. The blood of untold trillions had been shed by the Desert Eagles in Guilliman's name. Nearly 10 millennia had passed since Guilliman had last led these warriors himself. In that time, they had descended to fanaticism to survive. Even before his return, those amongst the imperial regime had their doubts upon the sons of Audax and their fatalistic ways. Now, the Lord Martellus stood trial before his father in answer for his chapter. Guilliman shattered the silence, eyes fixed upon the accused. "Martellus Riol, heir of the Carrion Lord, you come before me bearing a proud name, but your chapter's path has strayed dangerously close to oblivion." The Desert Eagle dared not flinch, but his every instinct was screaming beneath the unrelenting might of the Primarch's gaze. Guilliman continued, "What drove you to this edge?" The chamber seemed smaller now, the air itself resisting breath. When Riol spoke, it was low, measured, each word chosen as though it might condemn him. "Survival, my lord," came the reply from the son of Audax. "We inherited ruin, not Ultramar. Every lesson was carved against extinction." Guilliman's expression hardened. "I have walked the ashes of Calth. I have seen my legion burned by betrayal. I have watched an empire built with reason and discipline decay into superstition and fear." He took a step towards Riol, towering over the chapter master. "Ruin is not your distinction, Martellus Riol. It is the inheritance of us all." A pause, short and heavy. Yet others endured without abandoning what they were meant to be. The accusation hung in the air. "The sands of time wear against all who stand in its path," the Astartes intoned. "We are not conditioned to lay in mercy against its wrath. The winds endured, and so did we." Guilliman bore on. "You claim extinction forced your hand. I say it revealed your weakness. Discipline, restraint, purpose. These are not luxuries. They are the tools by which stability is created. The Codex was forged to give stability to a fractured imperium. Your ash litanies, are they not a defiance born of desperation?" The weight of Guilliman's words pressed upon Riol, but did not break him. "They are not defiance, my lord," he said, his voice as steady as stone. "The ash litanies are your final commandments, burned upon your blade when you fell. You do not deny it?" "I do not. They gave us guidance in the dusk. You speak of discipline. We have it. You speak of restraint. We wield it. Each moment we do not become the tyrants we fight. Riol carried the chapter's legacy upon a precipice and felt the weight of every word. Guilliman's voice lowered. But purpose. Riol shook his head solemnly. Our purpose was never to preserve what you built. It was to ensure there was something to survive its fall. Silence lingered after he finished. If that is weakness, then it is a weakness that has carried the Emperor's light, where it should have died long ago. Regret emerged from the depths of Guilliman's expression. And so, you have endured, Guilliman acknowledged, not as a builder of worlds, but as warden of ashes. Guilliman's tone shifted, though the coldness was now replaced by grim expectation. Martellis Riol, chapter master of the Desert Eagles, your chapter stands in judgment before me. I no longer seek to judge for what you were, but instead for what you will become. Riol knelt before his Primarch. We are your legacy, a culture forged from an empire in flames. If you would see your Imperium stand, builders alone will not hold against the darkness. The heir of the Carrion Lord spoke with conviction, the fate of his chapter secured. And we are yours, he declared.